When it came to the highly anticipated fake news awards, CNN didn't take home first place, which was a surprise for those of us taking odds for the office pool. Not that this writer would do such a thing, cough cough. That honor went to Paul Krugman, which I thought was a bit of an upset. After all, the New York Times economist is simply _wrong all of the time, not necessarily mendacious. However, for those of you pulling for a CNN win, you could at least take solace in the fact that CNN filled out 4 slots in the top 11, more than any other source. Nevertheless, the network is positioning itself for the 2019 edition of the awards early, and they've decided the way to go about that is to go meta, fake news about fake news. Very Inception. In this case, the fake news in question involved President Trump's appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. CNN took an excerpt from the president's Q&A and labeled it "crowd boos" as Trump calls media fake in Davos. The problem was that a look at the clip seemed to support the idea that the crowd was oohing at a certain part of the president's remarks, and YouTube users seemed to think so, too. I've always seemed to get, for whatever reason, a disproportionate amount of press or media, the president said during the clip in question. Trending, watch, Women's March members learn tough lesson in science at rally, and as a businessman, I was always treated really well by the press. You know, the numbers speak, things happen, but I've always really had a really good press. And it wasn't until I became a politician that I realized how nasty, how mean, how vicious, and how fake the press can be, the president continued. As the cameras start going off in the back, he joked. It was after that last part, and only then, that people began booing or oohing, and it sounded like a small undercurrent at that. If one were to guess at which it was, one would almost certainly go with them oohing at the president throwing down the gauntlet at the media yet again. Do you think this was fake news from CNN? Yes, no. Completing this poll entitles you to Conservative Tribune news updates free of charge. You may opt out at any time. You also agreed to our privacy policy in terms of use. This, dear reader, is what the most trusted name in news thinks is news and ought to be reported, if not applauded. And they somehow get insulted when people call them fake news. Somewhat unsurprisingly, over 21,000 YouTube users voted thumbs down on the video, compared to just 6,000 who voted thumbs up. Some of the user responses, collected by Rare.us, show that users were as unhappy with the video's labeling in the comments section, too. "This is the stupidest video I have ever seen," one user said. Completely missed the rest of the speech. Not even booing. Related, them. Gobs outraged as Trump tax law gives them taste of their own medicine. People were booing the fake news media, that's who they were booing, another noted. CNN just can't help themselves with the fake news, another noted. Would somebody please change their diapers? While resorting to the scatological seems a bit much, there's still a lot of truth in those remarks. How could it be so obvious to everyone else yet not obvious to people whose job it is to be discerning? Surprisingly, it wasn't the only media outlet to report this. The Hill also reported the boos, although it did mention when it happened and tried to contextualize it by the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, getting booed for saying that Trump's leadership had been open to biased interpretations. The London Guardian, meanwhile, posted the video under mostly the same title, although it didn't garner nearly as much attention. All of them perhaps positioned themselves well for next year's awards, but CNN definitely did the best job. Look out, Krugman, Anderson Cooper and company are gunning for you. Please like and share on Facebook and Twitter with your thoughts on this video. What are your thoughts on these boos? Scroll down to comment below.